Right, so I've got a really annoying problem going on with this tank, and it's really starting to piss me off. So I could do with a little bit of advice, because the problem, although it's quite normal for this thing to happen in African cichlid tanks, with my fish and what I've got in here, there seems to be a theme to it. And it's something that I've never come across before. And it's happening to one of my favourite types of African cichlids as well. So I could really do with some help on exactly what might be the problem and causing it. So stick around and I'll tell you exactly what the issue is. I'll just give the fish a quick feed first, because they're probably going to be a little bit hungry tonight. By the way, I love the hikari food, but the sinking ones, my God, do they make an absolute mess of your tank. So I've given them a couple already. You can see all the bits floating around in it. The red ones, the floating ones, they're all right. You put them in and it doesn't make any mess. But these sinking ones, as soon as you put them in the tank and they start pecking them, then they just start breaking about into dusty bits and big particles. And I'm not getting this one again. It makes an absolute mess of the tank whenever you feed them with it. But let's get into it anyway. Right, so if you've kept African cichlids before, you're probably going to be quite familiar with this problem what we have in tanks. So with African cichlids, all the male fish are the ones that predominantly are going to get the best colours. So we usually keep a tank full of males, and you'll notice when you bring in, this is specifically with peacocks and haps, not so much with mboonas. But when you bring in these fish home, you can go into the store, see these fish with beautiful vibrant colours, and then you can bring them back, and then over time those colours can fade, and then it can turn into quite an ugly fish in your tank. Now we all get these subdominant fish, so that's the term we use for them, and essentially what it is it's that particular male fish making itself less threatening to other fish. So it's dying, it's killing its colours down, trying as much as possible to look like a female fish, so it's not attracting aggression from more dominant ones. So having subdominant fish in your tank, unfortunately it is going to happen, and you are going to get a few, and it's one of those things that you're just going to have to deal with. Even if you take them out and maybe give them away or take them to a fish store, it could colour up at the fish store again, and then you could have another fish that turns into a subdom in the tank as well. Now this is happening to a few of my fish, and the reason why it's bothering me so much is because it only seems to be my sunshine peacocks that are becoming subdominant, and I can't understand why, because I've wanted a really nice example of a sunshine peacock, bright vibrant yellow colour in the tank, and I've bought 3 different ones, and all 3 of these were showing really good promise. They had vibrant colours when I got them from the store, and yes, obviously you can be a victim of purchasing juiced fish.
I want a triple onion cheese on whey with a little bit of fucking mustard so I can make some gains!
Which is where they treat them with hormones before they import them into the country, because colour sells, and then when them hormones wear off, the colours can die down. But I'll explain to you exactly why I don't think that's the case, because the 3 sunshine peacocks that I got, they're all from different fish stores, and a couple of them are from fish stores where my other fish are from, which have not had any issues with the colouring on them. And then also, funnily enough, I bought a golden peacock, which is this one here. When I bought him, he was so bright and so colourful. He was a vibrant yellow in the tank, and his colour died down. So every time I'm buying yellow fish that are predominantly yellow in colour anyway, not just talking about, you know, your little Apache stripes on the top and your yellow bellies. I'm talking about predominantly yellow fish. They seem to colour down and die down, and I can't think why it is. I get that we get subdominant fish, but why are they all yellow fish that seem to be colouring down in my tank? My first thought with it was maybe it could be this OB. It's a really dominant, quite aggressive peacock cichlid, and he's quite a vibrant yellow colour as well. But it's not that fish, because these fish coloured down before I introduced this yellow OB. So sometimes what can happen is, if you get similar looking fish that are a similar coloration, then you can have the more dominant one pick on the others, even if it's a completely different strain of peacock. So this OB might see a sunshine peacock in full bloom as a big threat, and they could fight. But I haven't seen any of that going on. So I just find it really puzzling. And I thought I'd ask about, because obviously I've kept peacock cichlids for a while. This is something that I've not come across before. I would expect at least one of these sunshine peacocks to have coloured up by now, or at least retain the colour from when I initially bought them. It would make sense if one stayed dominant, was showing all that yellow coloration, and the other two died off. But the reason I keep buying them is because every time I put one in the tank, the colours die down. And then also this golden peacock, which was predominantly yellow, has lost its coloration and died down as well. So I'm thinking if there's some sort of connection with it being potentially because they're yellow in coloration. Could there be a particular fish in here that is not a fan of the yellow colour, that might not necessarily be yellow itself? I don't know. So that's why I'm sort of reaching out and asking the question. Have you had this issue with your tank? Have you got anything similar that's happened where you keep buying the same fish to try and get a nice example of it, and then when you put them in the tank, all the colorations disappear? Because these seem to be the only subdoms in the tank. The only subdominant fish are yellow fish, and it doesn't make any sense to me. So if you've got any advice, drop it in the comments and let me know.